First of the White House, thank you. Joining me now is founder and executive director of the National Security Institute at George Mason University, Jamil Jaffer. Jamil, always good to see you. Here we go again. What is this, round three? How confident are you that today ends in diplomacy and some sort of deal?
Well, it's hard to know, Markie. The Iranians have been in this place before. The U.S. has been in this place with them as well. They don't seem to be wanting to make the kind of concessions that President Trump and his team are looking for, specifically around support of terrorism in the region, around ballistic missiles, around the nuclear program at core. And one of the real debates on the nuclear program, and it's not clear what the administration's position is whether Iran will be permitted, like they were under the Obama nuclear deal, to enrich uranium domestically. Now, the traditional American position is no domestic enrichment of uranium. We'll provide it. Somebody else will provide it for civilian purposes. But the Iranians have insisted on that. They got it out of President Obama. The question is, where will President Trump and his team be on that? And what will the Iranians do with respect to that position in particular?
And so if today fails, is it strike three and you're out? I mean, is it time to stop giving warnings and windows and take military action?
Well, Markie, President Trump has been very clear. He told the Iranian protesters weeks ago now that help was on the way. It's not clear whether that help has arrived yet, but there's certainly a lot of military force, American military force in the region, including all the fighter jets and the 2 aircraft carrier battle groups now in the Mediterranean and the Persian Gulf. So we are teed up for a strike, and I think President Trump looks prepared to do it. The question becomes, does he want more negotiation? President Trump, as we know, has sought to avoid these type of conflicts. He came into office saying he was going to get out of all foreign wars. Of course, we've gotten into conflicts in Venezuela and elsewhere. So the question now becomes, will he undertake those strikes? He's done it in the past with Operation Midnight Hammer. Will he do it here? Does he risk losing credibility? If he doesn't at this point, those are, I think, the questions on the table, Markie, that we'll know the answer to likely in the next couple of weeks, if not the next days.
One more question about Iran that I found interesting. I was reading that Iran is apparently preparing this written draft proposal to put on the negotiating table today. Does that indicate seriousness to you, or is that a stalling tactic?
Well, it does feel like what the Iranians have done before, which is a stalling tactic. They keep putting proposals down on the table, whether verbal or written, that they know people can't, and the United States in particular, can't agree to or won't agree to. They recently put a proposal on the table just last week, which the U.S. rejected outright. And so the real question here is, A, are they going to enter into a deal that we can do and the President Trump wants to do? But B, will they actually hold to it? Because they've never held to a deal in the past. The 2015 deal was violated a number of times, eventually leading to President Trump walking away from it. And to be honest with you, the 2015 deal didn't even address things like ballistic missiles and in particular, Iran's support for terrorism in the region and the like. And so that was really just about enrichment. The real question now is, what does the deal look like? Will they abide by it? Can we trust them? And the answer to that, historically, unfortunately, Markie, has been a big no.
We'll see what today has in store. Lastly, before I let you go, I'd be remiss not to ask you about Cuba. This latest story coming out of there, Cuban officials killing 4 people on board this speedboat that was registered to Florida. Florida officials are now accusing the Cuban regime of murder. How do you think the State Department should respond? And what comes next, do you think?
Well, look, I think, Cuba, has made a big mistake here. If, in fact, any of these individuals were Americans or American nationals, because, as you know, after Venezuela, the president and Marco Rubio, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, went on stage and said, look, Cuba has to watch out now. They were involved in Venezuela. They've been removed from that operation. We've now taken control of Venezuela or put in place a new leader there. Cuba's now on warning. Killing Americans is not likely a scenario that's going to get you less warned or into less trouble.
Right.
It may very well be the case that this is actually the thing that triggers the United States to get involved in an intervention in Cuba. Again, President Trump comes into office saying, I'm going to reduce these foreign wars, been involved in Venezuela, been involved in other conflicts around the globe, maybe even in Iran now. Maybe now in Cuba. We'll see. This is not the right play for the Cuban government. A big mistake here, I think, on their part, if in fact Americans were involved. And we'll see what happens going forward now, Markie.
Yeah, we are still waiting to see who all on both sides was involved in this. Jamil Jaffer, thank you so much, as always, for your time and expertise.
Thanks for having me on.
Have a good one.